What's going on? What's going on, everyone? How you doing today? I just wanted to take a moment and come live because we have an event going on tonight that I want to make sure that everybody knows about. We've been posting, we've been sharing, we've been inviting individuals to be a part of this conversation, and I think that it's going to be just life changing. The conversation tonight is a live Manhood Moments podcast. We're going to have some guest panelists that we think that these gentlemen, these individuals, man, they are just off the chart, their knowledge, their understanding. And so we wanted to make sure that everybody knew about tonight's event. It's going to be 7 o'clock tonight, 812 Olive Street. And if you don't know, that's the Webster University Garden downtown campus. And so we know that that is a beautiful space. It is air conditioned. There's 150 so seats in the auditorium. And so, as a nice lit stage, and afterwards, we're going to have a really nice reception with food. All right. Of course, we're going to have food. And so, we want to invite people to come out and just be a part of this conversation. We want to talk a little bit about what we're going to be sharing tonight because we know that this is the beginning of Father's Day weekend, and happy pre Father's Day to a lot of my brothers out there who are currently fathers or grandfathers or in fathering roles such as uncles or mentors or what have you the case is. And it's a way to celebrate Black manhood. We understand that in the United States, in our country, that we've not always celebrated Black manhood the way that it should. We've been revered and seen as enemies. We've been seen as violent. We've been seen as lazy, all these other stereotypes. But there are so many Black men, so many Black fathers out there that's doing some great things. And it's important that we highlight that and that we change the narrative, right, of the Black male image. And so tonight, our conversation, we're going to have some really live conversations. Just talk a little bit about our panelists, right? And so, of course, myself, I'm the co-founder of No More Hiding. But then we also have our co-hosts, and we have Anthony Bird. We call him T Bird, right? And he is in his own right. He is a professional in the criminal justice system. He's a leader in that space. He's also into physical fitness and self defense, and so he brings a lens to our team, a perspective to our team that many times helps us to see some varying views of whatever the topic is. We have T. Patrick or Teron Ray. He is also one of our co-hosts, and T. Patrick is by far an expert in HR, and when you're talking about building relationships within companies, he is also a fashion entrepreneur, and so he don't talk a lot about that, and so he'll be at the table. We'll be in with our panelists tonight, but then our guests that are going to be joining us tonight is first of all Dr. Latrell Hayes, entrepreneur, HR expert. I mean, just a brother who cares and has a heart for men. He is also the founder of Giants Leaps Institute, which is an institute that focuses in on helping to build men and helping to equip men to be better as we move into our stages of life. He's also a minister at Zion Travelers and under the pastor of Dr. Lyndon Bowie. And then we have Dr. Charles Pearson, and many of you all know him. He is an educator. He is a former superintendent. He's also just an expert when it comes with understanding community relationships, building community relationships, understanding the structure and the history of our educational system. He's an author. He just published his first, I think might be his first book. It might be his second, but he is also an author. He's a man of God. He believes in the word of God, and he's a member. Off of Dr. Martin Luther King, forgive me, and so he's also a member there, and he's a community activist and a member of Omega Psi Phi also. And so, thirdly, we have Mr. Caleb Rice. Mr. Caleb Rice is my son. I'm very proud of him and the work that he's doing. He's finding his voice, finding his space, and he's currently an educator at a middle school. He's also a mentor in the process of developing his mentoring program. He's a young father, and it's a joy to watch him as he works and he builds and he guides his daughter daughter. And he's just a young man. And it's going to be great to be able to hear his perspective from some of these issues as being a young man in this Gen X and Gen Z generation. And then finally, we have Mr. Ryan Smith. And this brother here is so knowledgeable. Sometimes his silence and his quiet demeanor does not express just as the depth of understanding he has about a lot of issues. He's also a resident of St. Louis, a lifetime resident of St. Louis, in particular St. Louis City, and he would tell you he loves his city, right? And so he's a certified community health worker that specializes with working with men. He's the founder of a nonprofit as well as a transitional home for men, and so he understands some of the challenges that exist when it comes to working with men with emotional intelligence, understanding we're working with men to as we transition and deal with our mental health issues and things of that nature. So, those are our panelists for tonight. Let's talk about some of the topics that we're going to deal with tonight. And so, of course, we're going to look at the juvenile male self image and how that impacts us. Because when we think about, sometimes we have to take time to think about how the socialization that we went through as men really has an impact on our lives, even now, right? And so sometimes we think that the challenges we deal with are only because of where we are in our life now, but we can actually take our time and trace it back to even our adolescent and childhood periods and how those things continue to work in us. Next, we're going to look at education and equities. And so we know that we have quite a few individuals who follow us and that look at education and look at those challenges that exist out there. And so, what are those educational inequities that we're currently dealing with that impacts the Black communities, in particular African American men? We're going to have a conversation about employment discrimination because we have some very knowledgeable HR experts on our panel, and they're going to talk about the impact of employment discrimination. We're looking at our neighborhood and how social and political policies have impacted our neighborhood over the past couple decades, and so we understand that where we are now is actually not something that African American communities have invested in. It's actually intentional ways to create those ghettos and create those inequities in our communities. We look at the Black male perception and how that Black male looks at his place in society and his social interaction with other groups, and then we're going to look at some criminal justice reform, of course. We're talking about some fatherhood issues and those challenges that come along with being a father, in particular, a Black male father, right? And so these are some of the things that we're going to talk about tonight as we have this dialogue, this live dialogue tonight at 7 o'clock. We're moving from just a virtual platform. We're actually going to be in the auditorium. We're actually going to have conversation, and we're going to invite our audience to come join us tonight. 812 Olive, which is the downtown campus of Webster University, and a very beautiful auditorium that sits over 150 individuals. And we have space, and we're going to invite our audience to engage in the conversation, to ask questions, to help us as we do some problem solving, because our conversation is not just to glorify the challenges that we have, but our focus is actually to go out there and to try to find some solutions, right? And so this is a solution driven conversation. And so we want you to be in the space. We want you to join us tonight. We want you to be there to add your voice and add your perspective. Of course, we're looking for our men to be present. And so if you are a man, or if you are individual who has a man in your life, a father, a husband, or whoever the case is, tell them, come on out tonight, right? Come on out and join us at 7 o'clock, 812 Olive, and be a part of this conversation that's going to happen tonight that I believe is going to be life changing, right? And then we afterwards, as I said, we're going to have a reception, a networking reception with food, right? And so we're going to invite you to meet individuals and to build your network, to build your community, right? And it might be an organization or someone there that could help support you and could help move forth your agenda and where you're trying to go with things. So we're going to invite you to be a part of that. Once again, it's tonight, Friday, June 17th, at 7 p.m. The doors will open at 6:30, and we will begin our conversation at 7 o'clock. There will be, as I said, there'll be an engaging environment. You won't just be sitting there listening, but you get a chance to ask questions. We get a chance to engage one another as we talk about the challenges and look for viable solutions that can help us with dealing with these challenges. So, once again, 7 o'clock tonight, 812 Olive Street. That's St. Louis, Missouri. That's downtown St. Louis, Missouri, 63101. That's the Webster University Gateway Downtown Campus. Beautiful auditorium, seats over 150 individuals, and plenty of space to make sure that you, if you're worried about social distancing, right? So, looking forward to seeing you tonight. Join us. Remember, my manhood, my moment. Talk to you tonight.